Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lene and I'm knitting from Norway, and I love making what I knit in a week videos. I think they're really fun to make and I really enjoy watching others what I knit in a week videos too. And I think it's so fun to try to capture all of the small little knitting breaks throughout every single day. But this week I thought I'd put a little bit of a spin on it, because the last year I've been having a lot of fun with my knitting. I have cast on so much, I've had so much fun, I've been so excited about so many projects, but there does come a point where there's just too much excitement, and I've definitely reached that point. I have 10 whips now and I just can never decide what to actually knit on anymore.
Kan du ta upp den? Det var jo litt selvfølgelig at jeg ikke lukket døren. Men nå skal jeg lukke den igjen. Bra.
Tusen takk. So, because I am really struggling now to figure out what to actually work on, that means that I knit less, because I just sit there and try to figure out what I should pick up, and I really want to get away from that. That's not where I want to be with my knitting. I do want to keep casting on because it's fun, but not to the extent that I have been doing. So I've decided that I need a week detox from casting on. I need a week with just one strict rule, no casting on allowed, and I'm going to see how many of my projects I can actually finish. I have some huge ones that I think is going to be impossible to finish, but it would be nice to get back to working on them maybe. And then I have so many small ones that would just need like a few seconds of attention really to get them to where they need to be to finish them. So I really hope I'll be able to get to as many projects as possible this week, and I thought it would be fun to see how many projects am I actually able to finish in a week. As I said, I do have 10 whips, so we do have quite a few to pick from. I don't think I'll run out of whips this week, but I think it would be fun to see just how many I would be able to finish. I'm not going to try to speed knit too much, just mainly be strict about not casting on something new and actually work on what I already have. And I do have a reward for myself at the end, just to make it a bit easier for myself to actually stick to this. I really want to cast on a Mario sweater for myself, so if I do manage to stick to this and get some projects off my needles, I think my rule to myself is if I get minimum for hopefully 5 projects of my needles, I'll get to cast on the Mario sweater, but not before it's been a week. So fingers crossed that we'll actually get to that goal. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here blabbering on too much because I really want to get to that goal, so I'll have to go back to knitting. But I hope you'll want to come with me. Maybe you have a whip that's been lingering a bit too long, or you have a bit too many whips, so you'll want to come with me and try to clear out our whips. Hi, I pretty obviously failed trying to do anything with my whips. Not that it's been a week, but I just haven't had any knitting time at all since I started. So we'll start again. I have done a little bit. I did finish one project. I just way overestimated how much knitting I would actually be able to do while traveling. So we'll start again because I really got a lot of motivation from trying. I just didn't have any knitting time. So I have finished one project, but we'll start a week again from now. It's now Wednesday, so I have 9 projects. It's Wednesday and we'll see where we are in a week. It's all on the same projects. I did manage to not cast on anything though, but that was also because I was not at home with all of my yarn. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I really hope I won't cast anything on, and I really hope I'll be able to cast off a lot of projects. So I just wanted to give that update that we're kind of starting again, and hopefully I will actually have knitting time. I should be having a lot more knitting time this week than when I started the last time. So I really have faith that this is going to be good, and I do also have a lot of motivation to finish projects. So I'm just excited to start. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'll check in. So I'm going to go knit now, hopefully finish at least one project tonight. I think that should be doable. I really want to finish 3 projects before the weekend because we're traveling again, but this time to a much more child-friendly place. So I still think I'll be able to knit a lot there, but I would love to be able to finish 3 things before we leave. So I'll just go and knit right away, but I hope you'll want to come with me now that we're actually starting. Sånn nå faktisk. Men på Østrepolen. I wanted to pop in with just a quick little update. I have not been able to accomplish as much as I wanted to, mainly because I am procrastinating. I have finished the body on this. I really wish this whole thing would have been finished, but I did manage to finish the body on this. This is the Ankers blouse by Petiteknit in size 9 to 12 months, knit in Svenska Sunday. So I have done a little bit, but I am mainly procrastinating because the thing I really need to focus on is this. This is a crocheted Super Mario doll, and I've at least finally finished with the crochet part now, but that's kind of what I've been dreading because this means just a whole lot of assembly, and I've been assembling the whole of today. I've sewn on soles, I've sewn on the feet, I've sewn on all of these things, and it's just taking forever, and that's my least favorite part of crafting. So I have been procrastinating doing that, and then I felt so bad for not doing that because that really needs to be done by tomorrow. And I felt so bad about not prioritizing that, as I haven't picked up any of my other projects because I felt so bad for that. So then I have just not picked up any of my projects instead, which has not been helping. But I did force myself to work on it tonight, and I have done quite a bit. I have still quite a bit to go, but now that I've started, I feel better about it. It is going to be finished tomorrow, and then I can finally focus on just knitting, which I think will be really great. And I still think I'll be able to accomplish quite a bit once I get to the only knitting point. But yeah, I just wanted to pop in and say why I have been crafting so little, and it's because I have been procrastinating, but fingers crossed that that is over now. Hi, I need to pop in with the quickest little update before we leave, but I'm going to leave quite a few of the projects from this week here, so I wanted to show them. But first up, right before we got here, I finished this. This is Super Mario crocheted. This was a birthday gift. I'm really happy with this, but this took up a lot of my time this week. And then I've been working like crazy to finish 2 other projects. First, I finished the Anker Blouse by Petiteknit. This is the Anker Blouse. It's knit in Sandnesgarn Sunday in the color Lilac. This is in the size 9 to 12, so just finished this and I'm really happy with that. And then the whole of today I have been working on this non-stop to finish this, because this is in the size 1 to 2 years and I had both of the legs left, but I did get there in the end. I finished this just a little while ago and we are leaving now, so this is also finished. So that means that on this trip I did finish 3 projects and I'm going to leave them all here. And I also have this other project that I finished a little while ago that I'm leaving here. So all in all, really productive trip, and I did get to try on my selfish knit, even though I did not really have any opportunity to work on it. I did get to try on and see how this sweater number 24 really fits, so I'm also really happy with that. And yeah, now I'm just going to pack everything together and then we'll be ready to leave, and hopefully what's left of this week I will be able to work on my whips at home, which I have 2 whips still at home, which I am quite close to finishing. And then I of course also have quite a few selfish knits that I am quite far from finishing, but that I really am excited to work more on. This was a slightly chaotic update, but I just wanted to show off what I finished before I leave it behind. But yeah, that's what I had for this little update. say the week of trying to get through my whips is now done, or it's been about a week and a half since I started the first time. I've had some varying amounts of knitting time throughout this week, but all in all, I'm really happy with it. I have noticed that I am struggling more to knit during the daytime. I get some days where I have really good amount of time to knit during the day and everything just sort of works out, so I can knit a lot during the day, but I've been having less of that. But in return, I have really found back to the kind of obsessive knitting during the night that's my personal favorite way to knit, where you can just really deep dive into your project and you're in the flow and nothing is disturbing you, and you can just focus 100% of yourself towards your knitting. So that's where most of my progress has been made this week, during the hours where I'm the only one awake. But as I said, that's how I prefer it. But to the details of my whip, when I first started out, I had 10 whips, and then when I officially restarted, I had 9 whips, and right now I have 5. So I think in a week and a half or week that I've been able to finish 4 or 5 whips. I'm really happy with that. Most of my whips were halfway at least finished. So this week was really just the perfect kind of shove I needed to give them the attention they needed and to sit down and actually pay attention to what I have got myself into with my project. So I am really thankful that I did this, so I got those projects off my needles, because it feels a lot better now that they are off my needles and I have more control with my whips. And I really wanted to have fewer projects on my needles, and I'm really happy with everything I finished and that I managed to finish the deadline knits in time. So throughout this, you have seen me. The first time I tried, I did finish the Lune Flette Genser, but I'm not counting that because that was kind of a failed try. And then when I started this for real, I focused a lot on crocheting the Super Mario and then on knitting the Ankers blouse and the chunky rib pants. All of those are done. I did update on that. Those are also left behind, but I'm really happy with that. That was a really great start to the week, and I think that without this video that I probably wouldn't have been able to reach that deadline, at least not with all of the knits. So I'm really happy that I had this video to kind of help me get a grip and get through that. And then since coming home, I have been kind of struggling with what project to pick if I was going to work on the one-day Selbu mittens that I have in here, which is going to be a really quick project once I pick them up, because the pattern is called One Day Selbu Mittens and I have one. So I was really in between working on this, which definitely would be finished, and then the Korsvika jacket for my son, and then also working on the sweater number 24 for myself. Not that I necessarily would have finished that, but I would have made great progress. But I decided that I would take the extra motivation I had from this video to help me finish the Korsvika jacket junior, because this was the knit that I least wanted to knit on out of all of my whips, and also a knit that I really wanted finished. I just didn't want to knit on it. I was quite close to being finished. I thought there was a slight chance, and this has also been on my needles ever since May, and I think it's been abandoned since June. So this has just been abandoned for such a long time that I really struggled to pick it back up, but I did. I finished the body and the ribbing. I think the ribbing is a little bit tight, but blocking fixes everything. Also, this is worked in outlet yarn from Sandnesgarn Outlet, so there are some issues with that outlet yarn. But I'm definitely going to have to block the ribbing on the body on this, and then this also turned out huge. I've tried it on my son a couple of times and he drowns in it. I think it's size 6 to 7. Knit both of the sleeves, which they knit up quite quickly. So here those are, and then what took me forever is the button bands. I started with the button band with buttons because that takes the longest and I didn't want to end with that, and that took me all of yesterday evening. I think just this one button band took me probably close to 3 hours. And then today, just to finally get this sweater finished while I had the motivation, I did the second button band and it is now all done. Of course, still buttons, weaving in ends, blocking, all of that, but the knitting part of this is done. I'm really happy about that. Most of the projects I have finished this week were more of my active whips that I had quite recently cast on or started working on, and that I was still quite motivated to finish. But I'm really glad that I also got to at least one of my older whips, which I am struggling more with, and just dedicating the time this week to only working on my whips have also really shown me the feeling that I get when I finish whips. Of course, this week I have been tempted to cast on new projects, which I'm really happy to report that I did not do. I didn't cast on any new projects, which feels like a big win, and I really noticed how happy it makes me to have fewer whips on my needles, and especially to get some of these really old ones off. So the one by Selbu Mittens, those are also lingering from August, and then I have some other projects. I think my oldest project is from April, so definitely still going to focus on whips. As I said, I'm now at 5. I have every intention and plan to do the one day Selbu Mittens after this, so that will get me down to 4. And the sweater number 24 I'm also really excited to work on, so that will get me down to 3. All of those 3 are selfish knits that are quite a ways away from being finished. So I think the goal going forwards is that I'm going to pick at least one each week. Maybe I'll pick one until it's done, or maybe I'll rotate. I'll have to see how I feel, but I'll pick one of the selfish knits to work on, and then I'll allow myself 1 or 2 other projects that I'll finish a bit quicker, so I'll still have something new on my needles, and then I'll try to work through those other selfish knits until I get back to a clean slate. I really hope I won't get to the point where any of my projects get to more than a year old before they're finished. But yeah, that is really everything for this week. I hope you had fun watching along. Maybe you got to work on an old whip. Maybe you got motivation to dig out your old whips. Maybe you're better than me and you don't have any of those. But I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!